Alongside Jesse Samton, Rob Lewis, and Brett Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable. South Carolina week, guys, and 2 weeks ago I sat up here and I said that Mississippi State game was the biggest game of Jeremy Pruitt's young head coaching career. You could say arguably the same thing this week as Tennessee hopes to take another strong step towards possibly getting to 6 wins and getting to bowl eligibility with this game against the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think that's, if you're Tennessee, that's what you're thinking about. That's what you're trying to do is, win the next one. And each one you win, it builds momentum, and it also builds the importance for the following game. The question is, can Tennessee continue to do what they've done the last 3 weeks, and that's continue to improve?
Yeah, and I'm, just based off what we've seen, they seem to be on that kind of trajectory. I thought that they carried over what they did well against Mississippi State and played, as a 22-point loss, but anybody can look at that game and see that Tennessee was better against Alabama than they were, in September. And, again, the situation at quarterback, kind of throws a monkey wrench in there, but I would anticipate them to build off what they did last week.
Brian Maurer, doubtful, according to Jeremy Pruitt, Jesse. He's definitely given this offense a spark, but, he's just taken some shots the last few weeks. It just seems like it's going to be too tall of a mountain for him to pass protocol this week and be out there on Saturday.
Well, he hadn't finished the game he started so far this season. He's been knocked out with what we believe to be 2 concussions in the last 2 weeks, and 2 in 8 days, I guess you could even say. He certainly seemed to suffer a concussion on Saturday against Alabama with that hit. I think it's going to be hard for Tennessee to play him. Again, Pruitt has said that he is doubtful, which then raises the question, are they going to go back to Jarrett Garantano, who obviously had the calamitous fumble on the goal line, or are they going to turn to JT Strout, which there's some concerns there about the redshirt freshman just from an operation standpoint. Can he get the offensive line in order? Can he get the play call off? He has a cannon of an arm. You don't always know where it's going. And certainly in practice, he's thrown it to the other team enough times that it was Brian Maurer and not JT Strout that got the first opportunity when they decided to bench Garantano. This is a winnable game, but it's going to come down to, which quarterback, I think, on each side of the ball between Ryan Helinski or if they go to Garantano makes the fewest mistakes. That's why it's going to be a defensive slobber knocker, a rock fight. Will Muschamp is certainly fine with playing in those types of games. It's been a 1-score game the last 3 meetings, and South Carolina's come out on top on all 3 of them.
2 weeks ago against Mississippi State, when JG came in, they basically gave him no leash at all. Last week I thought there was a little bit more of a leash. Do you think he goes back to, very little leash this week just based off the fact that what Jesse just said about the no mistakes? It seems like every time, Jarrett's been in the game, it's been a mistake that's, cost Tennessee a football game this year.
Well, I think it depends on how the game goes. Mississippi State, it was easy to play it the way that they played it because they had the lead, and you were just trying to protect the lead. And when you got that early field goal in the third quarter and you got a 2-possession lead, you didn't feel like Mississippi State was going to be able to score 2 touchdowns. Now they came back and scored the 1 and made it interesting. But I think you were trying to protect your defense and play that rock fight, low-scoring game. Can you play that for 4 quarters? You're not going. When Jared came in against Mississippi State, they had the lead. It's not going to be the case if he's a starter in this game. And certainly last week, you knew you had to score some points to stay in the game. So I think it depends on how your defense is playing and to kind of how the game goes as to what your leash is and how much you let Jared do. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be really conservative, and I think so much will hinge, on how Tennessee runs the football. I think as the game goes on, if they're down 7 or 10, I think you might see them open it up. But I would bet a lot of money that the game plan will be a lot like what we saw against Mississippi State until they can't play that way.
Yeah, and part of it, just to jump in, is that there's a lot more to lose this weekend than there is against Alabama. I know Tennessee, at least made the #1 team in the country sweat last weekend. But this is a game, if Tennessee and this program is going to really make this turnaround under Jeremy Pruitt, they have to start beating the South Carolinas and Kentuckys of the world. And if they want to make a bowl game in year 2, I think this Saturday is going to be paramount in getting to 6 wins. So I'm in agreement with Hubbs. I think they're going to be conservative so long as the score kind of dictates it, because I think we've seen time and again when you put the ball into number 2's hands right now, more often than not, bad things are happening.
How much do you worry, Brent, the mental side of things for Jarrett, just based off of how things have went? The reaction Saturday when he rolls back out there is not going to be pleasant. Do you worry about that really affecting him if you're Jeremy Pruitt?
Well, yeah, because if you're putting him on the field, then you're saying he gives us the best chance to win. So you want him at his mental best. You don't want him to be a mental wreck out there, so to speak. You don't want him to be afraid to make a play. You know, you want him, but you also don't want him to take unnecessary risk. I mean, you want him to manage the game and play it. Now, is it going to be the way you thought he was going to be in the first couple of weeks of the season? No, absolutely not. You're not going to call the game that way. I think it's interesting, Austin, that this week JT Shrout is getting so much reps with the ones to get ready. Now, is that to get ready to start? Is that to get ready to be just in case? I think that there's certainly a notion that, hey, even if Jared stays healthy and starts, he may not be able to get this done for us, so we have to have Shrout ready. How ready can Shrout get in case they need to go to the bullpen, so to speak?
Well, no matter who's back there at quarterback, the person behind him is probably going to get a lot of touches, and Tim Jordan's kind of been that guy the last game and a half as he's gotten better and better at getting north-south. You see the 33-yard run right here. Are you guys surprised that he's reemerged in this running back room?
I'm going to give Jesse full credit because I think it was in August that you said, Jesse, he was the forgotten man because everybody was in love with the wiggle of Eric Gray and the speed of Ty Chandler. You said you thought Tim Jordan would factor in bigger, and he certainly has.
And part of that was just because when Ty Chandler does have the home run ability, but on a down-by-down basis, even with some of the frustrations Pruitt and this staff had had with Tim a year ago in terms of not seeing the hole as well, maybe bouncing it outside, he was the guy that fell forward. He was the guy that if somebody was going to break a tackle, make a guy miss, it was him. He was up there in PFF's elusive ratings a year ago. And last weekend against Alabama, Rob, he almost had 100 yards himself when Tennessee hadn't rushed for 100 yards in a couple years, and 65 of those came after contact. And that's the kind of stuff, the finish, the drive that Jeremy Pruitt and his staff's looking for from that running back position.
And I don't think you can overlook the pass protection angle either. I think he's by far Tennessee's best back in pass protection, and I think that's one reason that Eric Gray's touches or opportunities have been limited. And that's the same. I mean, it's true for a lot of freshmen. I mean, that's a tough adjustment for a lot of high school backs to make. But I think Jordan's overall physicality, I think that really appeals to Jeremy.
Yeah, last week the number of touches went heavily in favor of number 9. We'll see if Ty Chandler gets a few more this week. We'll see if Tennessee's got any kind of wrinkle with Eric Gray. Running game obviously protects your quarterback. The other thing that protects your quarterback is a good defense. Tennessee's defense has really shown steady improvement. The last few weeks, some of those young kids have really started to grow up and they've started to make some plays. Some of those veterans have turned the corner, like Nigel Warrior here. If Tennessee's going to win Saturday, they're likely going to have a low-scoring rock fight type game. This defense will have to play big.
I think it's win first down. I think it's get it in 3rd and long, Rob.
Well, they've done that.
Jesse.
They've had a lot of success.
They've done much better than that. They were ugly against Georgia State in that category. They were ugly against Georgia in that category. They were better with that against Alabama. They were better, obviously, against Mississippi State. Helinski's not 100%. I think you want it on his hands in 3rd and long and ask him to go consistently make plays for you. I think winning first down against South Carolina's run game with Feaster, who had a big game last week, is going to be really important.
I don't want to disparage South Carolina's offense because they, obviously 2 weeks ago knocked off Georgia, but it's a little bit like Mississippi State to me. I think South Carolina's better, but what I'm saying is I don't think it's going to be a huge challenge to win first down. And really, I know Austin has talked about it, the defensive line has come a long way in the last month. I thought Terrell Middleton looked like somebody that you need to keep an eye on Saturday night.
No, I agree. And I'll be the first one to say that I was very pessimistic on the kid just because I've known he's never wanted to be a defensive lineman dating back to high school, and he's done it out of necessity because he is so big, and everybody knew that was kind of his future. But the buy-in that he's had and the progression he's made, kudos to that kid, man, because he's always looked like $1 million getting off the bus and has always shown flashes. But to be able to start showing a little bit more consistency, big props to him.
And he's going to need to show up on Saturday again. And Greg Emerson and Aubrey Solomon, these guys. Feaster and Rico Dowell, South Carolina's two-headed senior punch there. They both average almost 6 yards a carry. South Carolina's 4th in the conference in rushing. Hub says first down. I think winning first down is going to be a key. Which defense in this game I think can get off the field on 3rd down may ultimately be the difference. Both of these are 2 of the worst 3rd down defenses in the conference. Tennessee currently ranks last. South Carolina I think is tied for 12th or 13th. So this is, if you can get off the field, you have a chance to, turn some clock with your offense. If you're on the field more, the team that is continuing to kind of burn that clock, I think that, they're likely to win the game on Saturday.
Which is why they got to be in 3rd and long, not in 3rd and short. The team that's in 3rd and short on a consistent basis in this football game has got a huge upper hand. Not saying they're going to win because you got turnovers and everything else, but if you're in third and manageable with the quarterback situation Tennessee's in, with where South Carolina is in terms of playmakers in their offense, that's why you want both defenses saying, let's get them in third and long and see if they can make consistent plays for us.
Tennessee's quarterback situation, Rico Dowdle's injury. A lot of questions heading into this one between Tennessee and South Carolina. That'll be Saturday at 4 o'clock. For Jesse Simonton, Rob Lewis, and Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable.